Chair recognizes the gentlewoman from Texas, Ms. Jackson Lee, for 5 minutes.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. And let me thank the ranking member who remains on the floor. I know he's en route. I'm almost believing that I've just attended, or I'm in the midst of a monster ball. And we're looking for monsters wherever we can find them. As I was on the floor, I heard someone say, Mr. Deputy Attorney General, that they're interested in holding you in contempt. Maybe they may be mollified by a resolution that really has no real point to it, but this is the absurdity that we are dealing with in an investigation that has proceeded and I believe has concluded. So let me ask you, two investigations that were ongoing in 2016. Could you just very briefly say what they were? Two investigations regarding presidential candidates. What were those investigations?
Congressman,
Mrs. Clinton, what was the investigation for Mrs. Clinton?
I'm not going to comment on any investigation that may have been ongoing. I know there's a lot of publicity about it, but I'm not going to comment on it.
All right, can you comment on the IG report? What was the IG report about?
Yes, the IG report is about, actually it's about a variety of misconduct that occurred in the FBI in 2016 and 2017.
Relating to?
Relating to, well, it's primarily focused on the Hillary Clinton email investigation, but the Inspector General actually addressed a few other issues in that report as well.
Did that investigation come to a conclusion in 2016, to your knowledge?
The Hillary Clinton email investigation?
Yes.
Well, it did, based upon public reports.
And based upon public reports, was the Department of Justice satisfied with those, the end of that investigation?
Congresswoman, I have the same response I had to Mr. Gates. I wasn't there, and I'm not the one to comment on whether or not people were satisfied with the result. We all know what the result was.
Director Wray, your agents were involved in the FBI investigation of the Clinton emails. Is that accurate?
Yes, obviously I was not there at the time, but yeah, absolutely.
You've had a chance to review the Inspector General's report?
I have.
And saw the fractions that were cited to the FBI?
I'm sorry, the
fractions, the infractions support.
Oh, the infractions, yes, yes.
Have you corrected, or do you have a comment on any of the infractions which you corrected, i.e. Director speaking about an investigation without the presence or yielding to one of the prosecutors of the DOJ, such as what Director Comey did?
Well, Congresswoman, I'm not going to add my own personal opinion on top of the Inspector General's very thorough report, but we, as I said earlier, we do accept the findings that are in the report and the recommendations in it, and I will say that...
What have you done with respect to the recommendation about the idea of a director of the FBI making such statements going forward?
So we've done a couple of things. One is that we have issued a new media policy that is much more clear so that we ensure that people follow our policies. We've also directed people to make sure that they're adhering to DOJ policies about commenting on ongoing investigations and specifically about uncharged conduct.
From the law enforcement perspective, which is what your arm is.
Correct.
Is that correct?
We're not the prosecutors.
Thank you. Do you have any comment on the suggestion that one of your officers delayed in investigating the Wiener laptop? Do you think that was done to undermine the investigation?
Well, Congresswoman, again, I think rather than substitute my characterization for the Inspector General's, which is very detailed, I would just say that my read of the Inspector General's report is that he found that there were delays as a result of a number of factors. And we are taking steps to make sure that going forward, as I said in my opening comments, that we structure, staff, and supervise sensitive investigations in an appropriate way so that we don't repeat any of the mistakes that are reflected.
And looking back, do you think that impeded or impacted on the final conclusion of the Clinton email investigation?
Well, again, I would defer to the Inspector General's own characterization of his investigation. My understanding of it is that he found that there was no political bias ultimately impacting the investigation that he reviewed.
Mr. Attorney General, do you believe, as Donald Trump indicated, that the investigation of which you have read, the Inspector General's report, has vindicated Mr. Trump as relates to collusion with Russian agents, as he indicated? Or
Congressman,
is the investigation ongoing?
there is an ongoing investigation, yes.
And it's not concluded?
Correct.
And no conclusion has been made on any aspect of the investigation today?
Well, there have been several charges that have been filed, and so you're familiar with those.
Correct.
The gentlewoman
It's
has it.
ongoing. Thank you. I yield back.